This is Afroeconomics with J.B. Bryan. Afroeconomics is a strategic financial management program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad. It's official. In January 2019, we entered the longest government shutdown in history. Yesterday, January 11th, 2019, 800,000 government workers did not get a paycheck yesterday. Now, when this started, I think everybody was kind of playing around with it, didn't really take it seriously, and I didn't either. I said, well, it'll all be fine. And then I started being invited on radio shows and getting phone calls and discussing with clients. And now they're talking about this is the longest in government history and, ever in our country. And people are furloughed. They're out of work. Now, there's some people that are still working, but we got to think about it from a Black perspective. Most, I don't know if I should use the word most, but I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of Black people. A major employer for the Black community is the government. Now, I know at least one lady on social media set up a GoFundMe because she says she has no emergency fund, but she didn't say it that way. She didn't say she didn't have an emergency fund. So let me correct that. She just said she had no money. No money. So that means that she doesn't know anything about Afroeconomics. She doesn't know anything about the discussions of why we need to have an emergency fund. You don't even have to follow Afroeconomics to know how important it is. But it's hard for me as an entrepreneur to relate to that because I've always been an entrepreneur. So I always think that if a person has a job, then easily they can make sure that they have an emergency fund. Easily they can make sure that they are saving at least 10% of their pay just to make sure that they have 3 to 6 months of their expenses available to them. You're not going to have to do this. I mean, it's hard for me to fathom, but this is happening. These people that have worked for the government for 10, 20, 30 years have no emergency fund. And because they always thought that, that's literally what paycheck to paycheck means. So if you miss one paycheck, then you've automatically entered a financial crisis. We've got to change this. There's a Nigerian proverb that says, in the moment of crisis, the wise build bridges and the fools build dams. This is a deep truth. The worst thing you can do when something goes wrong with your finances is to freak out, go on social media, set up a GoFundMe, and tell everybody all your business. It's a natural response in the times that we live in, but it's not helpful. So, for example, imagine you received just an unexpected bill on any given day, not just no paycheck, but just an unexpected bill. You can't afford to pay it. It's due immediately. And you don't want to start off your response to it with just frustration, because just stress, no financial problem can be responded to with, I'm afraid, I'm going to scream. Emotion does not pay bills. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Number one, stress is bad for your health. Number two, making decisions based on emotion is usually bad for your wealth. Well, also think about many people go to high interest rate credit cards, at a time of duress. That's where they came from. Or they do these cash advances and they cost them years to try to pay off the cash advance on the credit card because of an emotional response to a financial situation. And it makes it worse. You may run to payday loans and get started in these payday loans and take out the loan that is charging you extremely high interest rates until you get your next paycheck. And it might be going on with people who are being furloughed because these loan companies know that you're going to get the money. Now, I was on a radio show just a couple of days ago, and the announcer, the host of the show, as I was getting off the show, he said, I received a tweet. This lady wants to talk to you. She said she's thinking about taking a loan from her government retirement plan in response to this furlough. Now she is anticipating taking a loan out because of what, it can't last forever. But is she really going to be able to take out a loan from work that has to be paid back through payroll? So if you're not getting paid, they're not going to be issuing these loans theoretically. You never know. You never know, because it might allow you to do that, and then you'll have to deal with the consequences when you go back to work, unless you certainly take your after-tax income, because you're going to get paid, and then eventually they take that after-tax income and you give it to them, but you're going to be taking it out using your gross pay, most likely. So you're going to be taking out more than what you need. And by the time you get paid with your after-tax money, you're not going to have enough to pay that off completely. And that's kind of like those in-store credit cards where you get the in-store credit card and you say, I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month, and you don't. That's where that snowball effect of bad and unnecessary debt happens in people's lives if we just did research on how did this get started anyway. So don't try to build a dam to stop a flood, because it's not going to help at that particular time, because you can't build that wall up. You can't build the dam fast enough. So we have to, in good times, we have to prepare for bad times. And I think that is one of the things that I've discovered as an entrepreneur, that we have to, once you have an experience like this. Now, those of you who have been furloughed before and you're feeling bad, that's not good, because you know better. Now, those of you, if this is your first experience, this should be your motivation to say, I've got to make sure that I have an emergency account going forward in my financial life at all times. So this is what some things I want you to think about. If I take out a loan in any type of crisis situation and you're not ready to pay that loan back within that 30-day period, this is including credit cards, you could consider that's a loan, because anybody with a credit card balance, that means you're living beyond your means. Then that is not the appropriate thing to do. Instead, you're throwing in the towel by going into debt and instead of building a bridge. So what I want you to do is build a bridge with the people that you owe by communicating with them. I received an email from some company that was saying, if you're a government worker, please contact us. It was an insurance company, it was already reaching out to people. Communicate with them. Hey, I didn't get paid. So, if you owe on your mortgage or if you owe on your rent, make sure you communicate. That's building a bridge. It's real. They know you're not making that up. Most businesses, legitimate businesses, understand. Rise above the rushing water and create a plan to protect yourself immediately from what's going on, and also protect yourself from the long-term effects of these unexpected expenses. Make sure you do not create any problems for yourself based on what's going on with the government that you can't control. So create some distance between you and the situation by taking the emotions out of it. Don't get all political and which side that you're on and who's right and who's wrong and why the government is closed down. It has nothing to do with your situation right now. Distance yourself from the politics of it and engross yourself clearly in analyzing what you can do to protect your credit, your family. Seek the advice of someone that can help you through the issues. Consider membership in Afro Economics. There's a free membership available to you so that you can get some financial advice, some information, and empowerment that you really need at this particular time of financial crisis. And negotiate through things. And I'm saying this again because I really want you to get comfortable with negotiating during a time of crisis. I'm not very comfortable with that either. I don't like to have to ask for favors, but this is the time that if you don't have that emergency fund, it's time to make payment arrangements, arrange extensions, and it's just a phone call away. So make sure that you win through this government furlough, that you win through a financial crisis. And all of this advice applies to anyone not just going through a furlough at work, but going through any type of financial crisis. I want you to distance yourself from the situation, take the emotion out. I want you to get financial advice from someone that you respect. Get part of a power group, network with the right people, consider Afro economics, and then negotiate, learn to talk through and ask for what you need and what you want. Give yourself some emotional support as well, and know that this too shall pass. Make sure you develop a strategy, a plan of attack, to handle your financial crisis that you're going through. We don't want to get into a situation of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Check out the membership privileges of Afro Economics. It's free. #Afro Economics.
Today's podcast was powered by J.B. Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of Afro Economics in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New York. Don't forget to subscribe to Afro Economics with J.B. Bryan on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and any other podcast directory. If you like what you hear, leave me a 5-star review. I'm J.B. Bryan, and that's Afro Economics at AURN.com.